I know as a spiritually conscious individual, you've probably went through all of the, dissecting and education on affirmations. And a lot of times in spirituality, we tend to make things way more complicated than it should be. So let's get into it. Affirmations. I'm going to share with you the only affirmation that you have to know, the only format that you have to know and understand. Once you have this down, affirmations is something that you never have to worry about again, think about, question, none of that. Okay. So I'm going to just start hot. Okay. We're just going to go right into it. And I'm going to break down why it's important to understand this format of affirmations and what exactly each part of the affirmation represents. So that way it's locked into your subconscious and is anchored in as to a mechanism for the manifestation of the things that you desire. So you actually have heard of this affirmation before. You've heard this affirmation before. I am that I am. Oop. I am that I am. This is very popular, right, from religious texts such as the Bible. Now, this is really the only format, the only affirmation you need to know. We're going to get into breaking this down and you understanding why it's the only one you need to know. So you see how I've written it here. Basically is in three parts. I am is at the top, that is in the middle, and then I am is at the bottom. So we're talking about like a nice affirmation sandwich here, right? Now, the first part, I am, the I represents consciousness, right? The part of you that is. The am represents awareness. Okay? You know you exist. Very important to understand that. When you say something like I am, you are essentially activating the God qualities of you. This can be a representation of also divinity, right? All right? God consciousness. That part of you that is connected and one with what we like to call source or God or, the universe. So I am represents the acknowledgement, the activation of that God consciousness, God power, okay? That divine power that is you, that is your core. This is the first part of the affirmation format and statement. I am, right? Consciousness, I am awareness. Now, the next part of this affirmation is very important because that represents, your desire, right? The thing that you want. The thing that you want to experience, the thing that you desire to experience, it represents the experience. You, as a divine being, is seeking to have. Okay? So, I am that. And then finally, we're going to get more into that part because that is where we are essentially directing this God consciousness power, this power of creating, because that's essentially what we are. We are gods made of God, from God. So God's nature, is to create. Therefore, as byproducts, as creations from God, it is our nature to create as well. So this is where it starts. So when we say I am, we are essentially activating, right, this nature, this power of the creator. We are activating it. Okay. We are turning it on essentially. Simply by being aware, you are turning it on. Simply by existing, it is on. Okay. So when we get into that, essentially we are activating the desire to have a particular experience. All right. Now, when we get into I am, the second part of how I am, here, what we're doing is we are reaffirming, but more really we are celebrating, or we are in appreciation of. Okay. So I am that I am means I am a creator that basically is creating an experience. I am, which means celebrating, appreciation. This essentially means gratitude. Okay. So I am that I am means that you are a creator, right? That we are highlighting a particular desire, right? And we're going to use examples right soon that we are creating a particular desire or experience to be had. I am represents gratitude, appreciation, the confirmation, right? So I am that I am, right? You see the energy there? I am that I am. So it's more of a anchoring. It's a letting go of the doubt. Is the support, is the foundation. It's the reality of it. You see, I am that is kind of the intangible creation of it, where the alchemist's power within you start to play with the universe and all that's around. And then the I am at the end is like the solidifying of the thing, right? So now let's get into some examples of that. And we'll put it into context with this affirmation, this statement of creation. So let's say that, right? That we all want to desire, or we all desire and want to experience. Let's say it is, right? We all want $1 million. So I am a millionaire that I am. You see how that sounds? I am a millionaire that I am. So we're setting this kind of a serious intention behind I am a millionaire. Then it comes in with this tone of gratitude that I am. And so it all locks together. They all need each other. All elements of this affirmation needs one another. That's why it's so significant and so important. But it's the way you need to think about creating your affirmation statement. It's the way you need to own the power of I am, because we take for granted the I am, thinking in terms of the I am from a ego standpoint, thinking you are just, a physical body, right? When you are more than that. Okay. So you have to step outside of your ego, outside of the physical form, outside of even your thoughts, outside even your emotions and whatever you're going through. And you have to recognize who you are truly as consciousness and awareness. Whenever you say, I am, whenever you say, I am feeling this, right? If it's in a negative, say you say, I'm feeling sick. You are essentially activating this divine creator nature. You're activating this power, and then you are materializing or putting in the activation of creating that. So if you say, I am sick, you are setting in motion the creation, the affirmative of that. But we don't want to do that, right? So you have to be mindful about what you say when you say, I am. And sometimes it can be difficult because you're like, well, I am sick, right? But you have to really think about what the body is doing. So you're not sick, maybe you're detoxing, right? Maybe you are going through a process of recalibrating your immune system, right? Maybe you're going through a process of even withdrawal. You see, so you have to think about really the mechanism by what's happening to you if you're going to make a statement like, I am that. Okay. But in terms of using this with the intention of creating what you actually want, what you should always be doing, your I am statements should always be in alignment with what you want. So even if you are feeling sick, you should be saying it as if you are actually getting healthier. I am going through the process of, strengthening my immune system. I am going through the process of figuring out my weight management strategy. Okay. Which essentially means diet or fitness level, right? I'm going through the process of getting fitter and stronger. You see? So I am a millionaire. I am. Now we can keep going with this. I like millionaire, but we can use that in different things. I am healthy, that I am. I am, there we go, in love and being loved, that I am. It doesn't have to be one sentence or one statement, right? It can be a full-on sentence in here, as long as it just makes sense. As long as it's just not too like, be mindful about the differences between, I talk about this often, wants and desires. Now, you can play this however you want to start it, right? You can start with, like I said, $1 million, right? Now, $1 million is a means to actually create something. So we say a millionaire, right? Now, that may be all you need. I like to say, I am rich, that I am. Okay. And you need to always keep in mind visualizing what it is that you're talking about when you say this statement. If you're putting in just one word, make the statement, visualize the statement, visualize it, visualize the reality of it in your mind, creating the reality of it in your mind, in your spirit, through consciousness, through this part of you, the I am. So some people will say, well, make sure your affirmation statement has a lot of details. Well, the details is in your visualization. If you were to actually have to put all the details in an affirmation statement, it'll essentially be a book, right? Because you get into all the nuances. So if I say, okay, I want to be a millionaire or I want to be rich and I need to get into the details and the nuances, then it's like, okay, I am a millionaire who, created and attracted my money by, offering books and services. And, I met this person who made this connection and that connection and all the details. I don't think that's necessary, to be quite honest. What I think is necessary is that when you make the statement, you are actually visualizing, creating essentially in your mind what it feels like, what you see for yourself as to having it, as to being it, experiencing it. That's what you need to do. So sometimes we can get caught up in thinking in terms of, okay, what do, if you want millions of dollars, I talked about this a few times. If you want millions of dollars, it's really important to think about why you want it. Some people are so superficial. They want something, but they never thought about why they want it. And usually that's because they've seen or heard somebody else say they want that as well. Well, that other person had a plan. They had an idea why they wanted it. It's very important to get into what you want as it relates to really what you desire from that what you want. Usually what you want is the $1 million to be a millionaire, but what you truly desire is the freedom that's associated with being a millionaire. So as you are making this statement, I am rich, I am a millionaire, that I am, you are visualizing the freedom. You are experiencing it. You are creating it. You are living it in your mind, in your spirit, in your heart. Everything that you do, right, as you are making this statement is being backed up with, this intention, right, with this imagining, with this other realm of reality that is essentially layered on top of this existing reality that you're experiencing. So, for example, if you got to go to work, right, because this present current life that you're living is a result of old thinking. So you thought, you have to just get a job and hustle and just pay bills, and live check to check. But now you're coming in a place where you're thinking like a millionaire. So now you're thinking, okay, I need to, create multiple sources of income. I need to create some forms of passive income, right? But that reality, physical reality hasn't caught up yet to the way you're thinking. But everything that you're currently doing should be in alignment with visualizing this rich millionaire mindset. So even if you are going to work, you are still driving your car to work, but visualizing driving your car somewhere else. Maybe driving your car to the gym or even to brunch, right? You are visualizing something else. If you're in the middle of work, maybe you are visualizing you're not at work, but you're at maybe some kind of volunteer services because you're a millionaire, right? You don't need the money, but you want to be productive. You want to contribute. You want to help people in some other way, some kind of philanthropy work, right? You hear it all the time. All these millionaires, they got all these not-for-profits, Now, we know it's all for tax purposes, but still, they show up, they do a little something, they speak to some people, they still make some form of a difference and impacts in people's lives. So you can start thinking about work like that. Think about it as, hey, I'm just, paying my dues. I'm just showing up. I'm just, contributing to the lives of other people because I'm a millionaire. I don't need to be here, right? So you can use your imagination and play into the monotony, the mundane, the mediocrity, the cliche, right? Cookie cutter life that we all have to emerge from. Use that as a means by which you implement your imagination and layer on top a reality where you actually are living the life that you want now versus waiting. You see, so that's essentially what we do when we do manifestation, when we do embodiment work. And I get into that in the future self frequency, where you kind of learn to take ownership now of the life that you want in the future, of the version of you in the future that has it all. You see, so your job is to really pull that future into the present moment. Statements like this, I am that I am, is going to support you. It is basically like the groundwork, the foundation of, as we speak and as we think, in our minds, as we live our life, we constantly must be making statements like this over and over and over again to program our subconscious mind. This morning I went for a run, beautiful night out, full moon. I just kept running, visualizing, running, visualizing, running, statements, running, visualizing, running, using the run to anchor in a reality that I desire, using the run as, oh, I'm running because that's what millionaires do, right? We run in the morning. We have a nice, beautiful breakfast, beautiful day. We set our tone in a way that we desire. We don't focus and caring about going to a job. Like, I'm running. I get up at 3:30, 4 in the morning, go for a nice 8-mile, 10-mile run. Visualize I'm in the world all to myself because nobody's up around that time. So when I'm running, there's barely any cars. There's barely any people, right? Today was one of those days where there was absolutely nobody out. 8 miles and I didn't experience one person. And it was beautiful. It was like, this is my world, my reality. I am this, I am that, I am that I am. You see? So you make the statement, I am that. Like I said, it has more of a serious tone to it because you are intentionally programming, your subconscious. You're aligning intentionally with the frequency of your future self. And then you make the statement from a place of gratitude because you feel it, right? You imagine it, you feel it, and now you're taking ownership and you're saying, thank you. And so that last I am comes with that sense of tonality, that intention, that feeling, that emotion. So I am that I am. So that, another way to look at it too is that is that I am, it's not, I want that. It is simply, I am that I am. You see what I mean? There's a difference in the energy. When you say something like, I want that, I want that, there is no connection with it. There is no claiming it. You're just simply making a statement that anchors in lack. It anchors in a mindset that is not you, that you are not one with that. You are not truly optimizing the creator of you. Not to the point of where you are creating what you want. What you're doing is, because you don't know the power of I am, you are essentially creating what you don't want, right? You are creating more lack. Okay? You are creating an experience of lack. That's what you don't want. So be mindful about what you're creating, what you are saying after you say I am. After you say I, take the ownership of that. And then back it up with gratitude. I am that I am. That is the statement. And that is how you are supposed to really, I'm not going to say supposed to, I take that back because, I don't like speaking in terms of absolutes. But what I will say is this format is simple and this format is powerful. You don't need to change it. Don't make this process of manifestation, of alignment, to be more difficult. That's what we all are doing. We've been doing it. And with the growth of spirituality, metaphysics, and the growth of many people who are teaching it, we have to be mindful that what we are teaching you is from our own perspective and point of view. You have to really understand that you are your best teacher. Now, I refer to your future self being your only true teacher in the book, The Future Self Frequency. You see, because that is the version of you that knows you and knows exactly how you will do it, how you have achieved it. So when you listen and read all these different books and watch all these different videos, you have to extract what truly resonates with you. And when we watch a bunch of different videos on, oh, do it this way and do it that way, and, we're basing the information, of the value of the information or the credibility of the information on how many views that video got or how many books it sold. I know far more in tuned spiritual people who their books didn't sell that well, their videos don't do that well. You see, so you have to find a way of gauging what is valuable to you. And the best way to gauge that is by listening to your heart, listening to your spirit, what is truly resonating with you, and making sure that the process is simplified. The more complicated something is, the more likely it is simply off the mark, right? So you have to really recognize the significance of this, especially because this goes so far back. And, I am not Christian, but I do admit that there is great, amazing value and wisdom from the Biden. Okay. So this statement, please take this statement and recognize that this is all you need to say to yourself every single day, every single moment, every single second. When you are just having a thought, when you are worried about the bills, when, you feel lonely in life, when you feel like you don't have a lot of friends, when you're feeling not connected, if you don't feel healthy in life, all those things, that is what you need to focus on, what you desire, the desire, okay? So claim it. Use this power, the divine power that is you, that is the core of you. I am that desire. I am. And that will help you in terms of how you feel, right? So let me ask you this question. If you are, say, wanting to get up and go to the gym, get more fit, if you are wanting to make more money, maybe start a business, how likely are you to do it? If you feel bad or if you feel good? I know for me, with working out, with fitness, I'm more likely to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning when I feel good. If I don't feel good, if I feel negative, if I feel worried or stressed out about something, I'm not likely to do it. So I always focus on my emotions. I always focus on how I'm feeling. I always focus on how to optimize anything that I can recognize from a place of gratitude and thus give me a positive feeling, a recharge. And then I carry that and transfer it over to other areas of my life that I want to focus on. So you have to figure out how to do the same thing. This statement automatically takes you there because it definitely recharges your emotions. And if you follow me, you know emotions are the fuel, right? It is the fuel for manifestation. Okay. I am that I am. Now, if you want to go deeper, if you're a Christian or if you haven't happened to have a Bible or you want to go into how you can extract more wisdom and insight from this, go into the Bible, download an app, and just type this in the search. I am that I am. Now, if you follow people like Neville Goddard, I am represents God. Okay. So, but I am also represents you. Okay. Because you and God are really the same. Might be a hard thing to kind of hear and take on, but if you really want to explore more about I am and the connection between you and God, I definitely advise you to, if you're going to look at the Bible, don't look at it from a very superficial, shallow level, like most Christians do. Not to bash Christians, I'm not. But most people who read the Bible literally, they read it literally. They say, oh, okay, this is what it means when it's not. The Bible is allegory, storytelling. It's all about you as the reader, the person. Every character in there is a person within you, or a characteristic or an attribute of you. So when you see I am, that is the God in you that is talking. That is your higher self speaking, not God, something outside of yourself. All right. So, but when you make this statement, I am that I am, you recharge your emotions. Your emotions give you better fuel, right? And thus, when you have better fuel, you're likely to get things moving and start acting in accordance or in alignment with the future self you desire. All right. So that'll be all today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. But I invite you to go to Future Self Frequency, pick up the book, Future Self Frequency, and also pick up the journal, My Future Self Journal. You can also go to drabundant.com where you can get the Future Self Frequency. This is the Essence edition. So you can see it's very thin, quick read. It gives you essentially the essence of what I talk about in these other books. So give you a jump start. When you do that and go to Dr. Abundant, you get access to this. It'll be emailed to you. Then you will get the first chapter of this book for free. Okay. That way it'll give you some good value, give you something to really like, okay, I got it. I understand what this is about. I understand how this will benefit me. And then you purchase the the Future Self Frequency book and the journal, and we're on our way to go. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. Peace and abundance always.